Hey, what's up guys, this is Astranox and I'm back with another Epic 7 video. So in this one I want to go through the Dagger Sicar's challenge, and here's the reputation. You get the artifact if you just clear 10 times any difficulty, so don't worry if you can't do more than normal difficulty, it's all good. I would say just grab one if you can only do normal. If you can do hard or hell, I would say try to get 6, because we might actually need it later on in harder content. Even for Golem it could be useful. Alright, so let me go in there. Normal has a 3% drop rate, hard has a 7% drop rate, and hell has a 20% drop rate. The drops are the usual in here. Item level 44 gear, the necklace charm and the ring charm are the better ones that you can get. This is my team. The reason I'm using this team is because I want to show you that the tooltip is bugged. First, you want to target the ads. Don't target the boss first if you're struggling in here. I mean, I'm not talking about people that just face roll this content. I'm talking about people that are struggling and they need some help. So what you need to understand is that the ads can be stunned, they can be provoked, they can be silenced, so you can control them. But the boss is immune to stun, provoke, sleep, and silence. Yes, you can sleep the ad too, but I mean, it doesn't have too much of a use because you want to down them first. Now the ability of Phyllis is this is whenever the caster is attacked, increase combat true by 25%. This is another reason why you want to take out the ad first. This says that at the beginning of the turn, if the caster has less than 2 debuffs, and it's incorrect, it's not correct, it's wrong, it's 2 debuffs or less, because you can see that now Phyllis has 2 debuffs. Look, she still gets the barrier. And she also gives the barrier to Assassin Koli. That's why you want to down Koli first as well. And yeah, grants barrier and then permanently increase attack for all allies. So she and Koli are gaining attack the longer this fight drags on. And this just attacks the enemy with a sword. And guard, 2-turn cooldown, attacks with a sword, and if the target has no buffs, stuns the target for 2 turns. As you can see, look at all these stuns going off. So an optimal team would be 4 ice heroes if you're really struggling, because haste is the last boss and he is fire. If you're ice, haste will have a 50% chance to miss ice heroes and will only deal 75% of normal damage and cannot crit, cannot land a critical hit, cannot land any debuff. If a miss triggers, has a 50% chance of happening. If you land debuffs, I would advise bringing heroes where you could have a combination of 3 debuffs or more on the bosses, so this barrier spamming that you're seeing is not happening. If you do have a hero like Kisei that deals extra damage against barrier, just bring her along. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. So I will be targeting here Assassin Sid, which is the ad in the back, not the main boss haste. And you can, like I said, you can stun, you can provoke, you can silence. The problem with Assassin Sid, why he's a bigger threat than Assassin Koli, is that he can drop defense down debuff with a 50% chance for 1 turn with his skill 1. And haste can trigger a dual attack with this Envoy's Sight, so it's pretty dangerous. Now Vengeance counter-attacks whenever attacked, so haste, every time you attack him, he will counter-attack, so another reason why you should focus on Assassin Sid. And Distinct Vitality at the beginning of the turn, if the caster has less than 2 debuffs, it's not correct, it's 2 debuffs or less. Dispels all debuffs and permanently increase speed of all allies, another reason why you should kill the ad, Assassin Sid, first. And yeah, the trigger dual attack, and he cannot trigger any dual attack if there's no ally with him, so yeah, you just take out Assassin Sid. And Blood Ren attacks all enemies with a sight and triggers Vampiric Touch for 2 turns. This will apply Vampiric Touch on your whole team for 2 turns. It's an AoE attack, it attacks everyone. 4-turn cooldown, and this debuff, if it gets applied on your team, If haste or assassin Sid attacks your team, they will be healed for a portion of the damage that they deal. So you definitely don't want that to happen. So I would say that, I mean, if you have Angelica, just bring her so she can buff you, buff your team, so you can avoid some of these effects. But like if you bring just like a full ice team, the boss will have a higher chance to miss you because it's fire against ice disadvantage. And I would bring like a fire element if I didn't have all ice. You can bring, I would bring a healer slash tank. Put your healer in front. Just bring, if you're taking too much damage, just bring a knight with Aureus if you have any of those combination. And for damage dealers, you could just go with Kiris for dropping some poison debuffs and have the 3 debuffs or plus like minimum requirements, so they don't trigger those annoying things here. Dispel all debuffs and Phyllis, you see, like it just dispelled the debuffs, or Phyllis just spamming barrier. But the problem with Kiris is that she is earth, and earth would be at a disadvantage against fire, so she's gonna miss quite often. So you could bring Alexa. Alexa with her skill 2 applies 2 poison effects for 2 turns. This is already 2 debuffs. And then you could bring other heroes to have a combination of 3 debuffs or more to ease the fight. And those are my tips, guys. Quick data here. Phyllis had 39,000 health. Assassin Koli had 25,000 health. Haste had 66,000 health, and Assassin Sid had 22,800 health. So yeah, take out Assassin Koli on wave 1 first, and then work on Phyllis, and then on wave 2 you take out Assassin Sid, and then you work on Haste. If you don't have poison, if you don't have any heroes that are built with poison and your damage that you're dealing is not too high, you could definitely just bring like an artifact like Daydream Joker, let's say. But I mean, the barrier that Phyllis applies, you can just dispel that. You can definitely dispel it. So if you have a hero that can continuously dispel, I mean, you could bring Falconer Kluri for dispelling, applying defense down, and holding Aureus. But like if you don't have access to these heroes, Alexa, you can get her for free. Poison deals 5% of the target's health and damage every time they go. So this is gonna be, if it all lands, it's 2 poison effects for 2 turns. So that's 20% of their health. And if you keep on applying 3 debuffs, this whole barrier mechanic and dispelling on haste, barrier on Phyllis and dispelling on haste will not be happening, and the Phyllis will not be gaining attack, her and Assassin Koli, and haste will not be continuously gaining speed every time he gains a turn. So it will definitely make things so much easier. Also, I mean, just like go with what you got, guys. That, like, if you are really struggling and you really want to farm hell, if we go and quickly check the energy requirement between all 3 difficulties, 10, 15, and 30. So yeah, you definitely want to do the highest difficulty that you can handle. So I got this thing, but I will personally get 6, so I can get it to plus 30, because I want it to be maxed in case I need it in future content. You could also get, let's say you want 2 fully maxed out just in case for future content. You could definitely do it. Because let's say they release some content with an Earth boss, and you want to control its combatredness as best as you can, and you're gonna bring 2 thieves that each will wear 1, and you can definitely it's gonna help you out. But a single attack is an attack that hits 1 target. It will not work with an attack that hits multiple targets at once, and AoE attack that deals area damage. So if you let, this only works for thieves, but quickly, like Sez, he goes with skill 1, and then if the target is below 50% health, this attacks all enemies. This will not trigger it because it's not a single attack. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, this only works against earth enemies, so using it on a ice hero is not the best because you have a 50% chance of missing, and you will not be applying any secondary effect, meaning reduction of combat readiness is a secondary effect, and if that doesn't trigger, well, it's not very useful. But like a hero like Alexa has 2 chances, but let's say she needs to land a critical hit to get an extra attack, meaning that if she's fighting an earth enemy, well, she's got a 50% chance of missing, and if you miss, you cannot crit, you cannot land a critical hit, meaning that she's not gonna get the extra attack, and but she could potentially critical hit and then trigger the combat readiness reduction, and then on the next attack she doesn't miss again, and she triggers the combat readiness reduction, and potentially she reduced the combat readiness by 20% like on one turn that she goes, because she gets that free extra turn. But yeah, just like maybe they release some other heroes, but in the future that are fire or earth. I don't know exactly every skill of every hero. This was not the purpose of the video, but it's always good to have one built up for the future. And also, if you trigger a dual attack, the thief that is carrying the artifact can, if it's hitting an earth enemy, it can trigger the combat readiness reduction. So keep that in mind, guys. And you could also use heroes that trigger dual attacks on purpose. Like, I mean, Ras is it's the first character, but he triggers a dual attack with the ally with the highest attack. We got the new hero, Tamarine. She can trigger with this thing dual attacks when she goes in idle form. So keep all these things in mind, guys. Maybe I'm changing the mind of some players by talking about that. And Dark Heroes, where is she at? Where Kitty Clarissa, with if the caster is granted loveliness, triggers dual attack from the ally with the highest attack. So it could be your thief with that artifact. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing someone. Doesn't she trigger? No, she doesn't. Okay, she doesn't. Alright, so yeah, just some tips and some thoughts on like maybe it changes your mind and you decide to farm it because it's limited and you might not get the chance in the future. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'm Astranox. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Press the bell icon if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video. And let me just show you my gear real quick if you're curious. Just pause if I go too quick. I mean, this is, I don't use Sez. This is just gear. I mean, his gear is actually really good. It's just gear I had. It was time I put some gear onto him because I need him for Guild Wars. But I probably might move his gear onto Chaos Secax, skill ups, Angelica. I mean, you definitely don't need stats as high as this. If you are taking too much damage, use debuffs, guys. Attack down debuff will cut their attack in half and they will be dealing twice less damage. They will be a much lower threat, making things much easier. Also, if you take advantage of the fact that, let's say you bring a full team, a full squad of ice heroes, they already have, like haste has 50% chance of missing you. But let's say you apply hit chance, decrease hit chance debuff, that is another 50% chance of for them to miss. So they have to go through 2 hit checks, and it could potentially have an average of, let's say, 25% chance of hitting you. So this is reducing the difficulty by so much. You could just rely on this fact. You're using ice and you are applying hit chance decrease debuff, and you don't even need to drop attack down debuff. Just those two together is enough to make a massive difference. So yeah, yeah, those were the heroes. I did it with Yuna instead of Kluri, no, instead of Sez. It's just I wanted to show you guys that the tooltip was bugged, and you definitely need 3 debuffs, and 2 will not cut it. They will trigger the barrier, or haste will trigger the dispel all debuffs. Alright, that's it for this one. Thanks again for watching. Good luck with the farming. Peace out for now.